All right, back on the Young Turks at the OT. All right, Jonathan Kim is joining us, of course, from Rethink Reviews. The movie is called
Gasland.
Gasland. Let's check out the review first.
Whoa, Jesus Christ. That's the best I've done. I smell hair. Oh, damn. Can I try it? Yeah. Shall we get that in the frame? Don't drink this water. Jesus Christ. That one was kind of spooky. That even surprised me. And I've been liking that water quite a bit.
It's really upsetting, actually.
Yeah.
You know, it's not supposed to do that.
A few years ago, Josh Fox received a letter from an oil and gas company. It turned out that the piece of Pennsylvania land where Fox lived was on top of a huge natural gas deposit, and the company wanted to pay him nearly $100,000 for the right to extract the gas from his 20 acres. But before signing off and collecting his check, Fox decided to find out what natural gas extraction was all about, and soon found himself pulled into a world of flammable tap water, scared and sickened families, environmental destruction, and unregulated corporations operating under a shroud of Dick Cheney evil. Unfortunately, it's a place where most of us unknowingly live, a place Fox calls Gasland. Structured as a road movie, Gasland first takes Fox a few miles from his home to Dimmock Township. There, he found a story that would be repeated by family after family in state after state. Natural gas companies bearing checks, sometimes just a few dollars per acre, would ask to lease land for natural gas exploration. Dozens of natural gas wells would spring up, and soon after, the family's tap water would become discolored, foul-smelling, and in many cases flammable if you held a lighter close to the faucet, meaning that these families were essentially living on top of a bomb. Family members would start coming down with mysterious, debilitating illnesses. Gas companies were sometimes forced to truck in water for the families to use, yet would refuse to admit any wrongdoing. Why was this happening? To get the gas, the companies use a process called hydraulic fracturing, or fracking. A drilling company digs an L-shaped well thousands of feet down, then pumps millions of gallons of water, sand, and chemicals into the well, a mix called fracking fluid. This causes a mini earthquake that cracks the shale so gas can escape and be captured, but also releases some of the gas, along with fracking fluid, into the water supply. A well can be fracked up to 18 times, each time using millions of gallons of fracking fluid. What's in that fluid? Some really nasty stuff, including arsenic, asbestos, cyanide, lead, mercury, benzene, and toluene. To get rid of those millions of gallons of fracking fluid, the companies truck some of it away, but a lot of it gets left in the ground, put in pools where it can seep back into the water supply, sprayed into the air so it evaporates, or illegally dumped in fields and streams when no one is looking. And because of the energy bill created by Dick Cheney and his energy task force, fracking operations are exempt from following the Safe Drinking Water Act. Fox also looks at the blight caused by countless drilling rigs on public land, as well as processing the natural gas and the drilling waste created to get it, which often leads to dangerous gases being vented in populated areas. The natural gas industry is scared enough of Fox that they started a website attempting to debunk Gasland, claiming that fracking and all stages of natural gas production are being done safely and responsibly with the appropriate amount of government oversight. Then again, isn't that what BP said when it claimed deepwater drilling was perfectly safe right before the Gulf of Mexico mega spill? Isn't that what the mining industry said as they were blowing off mountaintops, burying streams and polluting groundwater with arsenic and mercury? Isn't that what the owners of the Kingston fossil plant in Tennessee said before a dike on an overfilled waste reservoir ruptured and buried 12 homes beneath 2.6 million cubic feet of toxic coal sludge in 2008? This is an industry that, time and time again, has proven that they don't give a damn about the environment, your health, or future generations, and lobbying money and budget cuts leading to weaker oversight will take care of the rest. That is, unless regular people refuse to sign natural gas leases on their land, pressure their congressmen for more oversight of the fossil fuel industry, and call for true clean energy. Otherwise, we might literally be digging a grave for ourselves and our ancestors, with only flammable water to drink. I'm Jonathan Kim, and this is a Rethink Review.
Jonathan, that's powerful, man. And you know what I was thinking as I was watching that? They'd never allow that in Beverly Hills. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. They would not allow this on the property of the people who own these companies, nor would those people drink the water that they're telling these people that the water is fine to drink.
You know, I was just thinking of rich areas. Like, there's no way they would endanger their kids with flammable water and arsenic and all that stuff, right? You only do this with regular Americans, middle-class folks, and you hoodwink them, and then you leave the crap behind, and Dick Cheney covers for you, right?
Well, that's the thing. Like most of this fracking is done in rural areas, you know, like somewhat sparsely populated areas, and these are all probably, you know, like red state people, you know, like Republican voters, like keep the government out, and this is unregulated corporations coming in, and now they're looking like, who's protecting us? There's no one to protect us now.
Here's what I guarantee you, as John was saying that, you know, there's not a single executive at one of these companies who would allow you to frack on land they live on.
Right.
You know, I'm just guessing. That's my guess. There's no way. I mean, I don't even know why. I don't know if you know the answer to this. Why do they put all that terrible chemicals? Is that needed to blow up the stuff?
I think some of it is like lubricants, or some of it is to kind of to keep the cracks open, to keep the drill working all right, coolants, things like that.
I got you. Okay, so this apparently has consequences. So let's talk about the industry response first. So they're mad at him, of course. And so what else have they done?
Well, let's see. So they started a website called Energy in Depth, and are trying to debunk, you know, point by point, and saying, like, for one of the claims in the movie is that the chemicals they use are that they don't reveal. And so they've provided some lists of chemicals up there. And so I looked through those lists, and some of the chemicals that are in that are arsenic, asbestos, barium, cadmium, chromium, cyanide, lead, mercury, chlorobenzene, dichlorobenzene, dioxin, PCBs, toluene, xylene, radium, and uranium. And basically all of the side effects from these chemicals are basically what you see in the movie, of people getting headaches, cancer, paralysis, loss of smell, loss of taste.
And you know what happens, of course, immediately as soon as this happens, the people in the industry and then the politicians that they have bought will immediately come out and say, "Oh no, those people are exaggerating. Oh, people love to do lawsuits." Right?
Right.
So, remember, Rick Santorum's wife had a slight back pain, and she sued for $500,000. Okay, but the minute somebody like this, like, "Oh my God, I drank cyanide and benzene and whatever and arsenic or whatever," they're like, "Yeah. Nobody believes you. You don't have any power."
Well, also, I mean, one of the things on the site, they say, you know, of that fracking fluid, 99% of it is water and sand. Only 1% of it is chemicals, which sounds small, but if it takes about, they say, I mean, the estimates are like between 3 to 8 million gallons of water, of fluid per frack. So that, let's say if it was 5 million gallons of water and sand, and 1% of that was chemicals. That means 50,000 gallons of chemicals. And I've heard that a well can be fracked anywhere between 13 and 200 times. So if it's 200 times, that's 10 million gallons of these chemicals.
Let alone the oil spilling into the water supply, which I'm guessing you shouldn't drink either.
Yeah, I mean, it's the methane that's getting into these aquifers that is where the wells tap into, and that's a lot of what's exploding.
Right, the gas, I meant. Right. And so how does this relate to the peak oil, the BP oil spill, stuff like that?
Right. I mean, a while back I reviewed that movie called A Crude Awakening, which is about peak oil. And one of the things they say in that is, as you've already gotten all the easy oil, all the easy, you know, oil and gas out, so you're going to more extreme levels to get it, which is what the BP oil spill was, because they were drilling so deep. And once it blew, they're like, well, we don't know how to do it because we don't know how to drill this deep. And the same is true with natural gas. Like the regular, easy to reach natural gas, they've already gotten it out. Like horizontal fracking, which is that L-shaped fracking, that's relatively new. It used to just be vertical fracking, but now they have to go down even lower and even deeper. The pressures are greater, and the idea that like these drill shafts where they're pumping all the liquid into, they're under such great pressure that they crack and they let the fluid out.
Okay, so that sounds lovely. Okay, and so is that related to peak oil, or like?
Yeah, I mean, basically
in terms of like, people are worried that we have a limited supply.
We're chasing harder and harder to get fuel. Mm-hmm. And because of that, we're just doing it in ways that we don't exactly know what's going to happen, what are the possible effects of it, and if there was easier stuff to get, we would have gotten it already.
All right, and I just want people to understand this. Like, it's not that this is our only choice. That we can do it another way, but of course it would cost more, right? Like if you did it a more safe, responsible way, and you got rid of the sludge and the water, contaminated water, of course it would cost more, right? But so instead, what we do is but that cost exists. We put that cost on the local community, and we say, hey, you know what? I'm going to pay a little bit less for natural gas, but those people are going to die, right? Well, I mean, and they don't necessarily die right away, but they get cancer, they die 10, 20, 30 years earlier than they would have. Their kids get sick. And we as a society, when we say it's okay, like by not regulating it, by not getting it under control, we're collectively in this democracy saying, well, those people in the rural areas, if they die and I get gas or oil in other cases a couple of cents cheaper, so what? Well, I think that's incredibly cruel.
Yeah, I mean, when you pollute these aquifers with this natural gas and chemicals and stuff, I mean, in an interview with Josh Fox, the director, he said, you can't clean an aquifer. You know, it's like a huge underground reservoir. Like, how are you going to do that? How are you going to get down there and clean that? You just can't do it. So basically, those people are screwed forever. And like a lot of, the people who live on this property where their water has gone bad, obviously the price of their property has plummeted. How are you going to sell a place where the water that comes out of your shower either can be set on fire or makes you sick? Like there was one woman who said, like, my daughter would like take a shower and then would have to lie down on the ground because she was so dizzy.
Oh, yeah. Okay, and then see, let me guess. On top of all this, those companies are probably getting subsidies.
Yes.
Of course.
I mean, when you hear people talk about like how oh geez, like, are we going to subsidize like renewable energy? I mean, basically in the U.S., the amount of subsidies for fossil fuels are more than twice what are given for renewable energy.
So subsidies are, we pay them to go do this. Like they take your taxpayer money and they give it to these guys to do this. Why? Yeah. And of course the answer is, we know what the answer is, because they bought the politicians. They're not our representatives, they're their representatives. So when I see somebody like Rand Paul, who with his full of crap, theoretically libertarian point of view, and all he does is with the coal mines, et cetera, everything else in Kentucky, and he's like, yes, sir, what can I do for you, sir? And, and that he's doing their bidding.
Yeah, fossil fuels, I mean, they're one of the most subsidized materials in the world. Around the world, $557 billion for subsidizing fossil fuels. In the U.S., it's $72.5 billion for fossil fuels and $29 billion for renewable energy.
It drives me. You see, that's Ben and I were having this conversation. That's why I'm getting to the point where I'm going to go Republican and say, well, okay, then I don't want to pay taxes. Like if our politicians are professional robbers, right, and they take my money and they give it to these sons of bitches, right? Like then I'm at the point where, why am I paying the taxes? I'm perfectly happy to pay the taxes and higher taxes if it went to creating fair opportunity for everybody, right? Kid goes from that same town, gets to go to college for free. I'm in, right? Or you take my money and you poison the kid with it. Well, I'm not in.
Well, that's what they say about in Europe. I mean, like in the U.S., we're so upset about taxes, yet we're taxed at a much lower rate than in European countries. But it's because they feel like they get something from it. They get health care, they get free education. They get a government that looks out for them. So you don't see them protesting and acting like the teabaggers do.
Yeah. All right. Final thing. What's the FRAC Act?
Oh, the FRAC Act is basically to have fracking be under the EPA's control, under the Safe Drinking Water Act. And it's stalled right now, although New York has just declared a moratorium on fracking, as has Pittsburgh. And it's actually in the industry's response, because in the movie Josh Fox says, well, the 2005 energy bill that was the Cheney energy bill, it exempts them from the Safe Drinking Water Act. And their response is, that's so wrong, like it exempted us. We've never been under the Safe Drinking Water Act. Like, that's their response. It's not like he canceled it for us. We've never had it in our history. So there.
Aha. Okay. And by the way, yesterday we did a story about how the EPA on smog, soot, etc., toxins going into the air, they were going to have new, tougher laws so that you didn't kill people in those areas where they're doing boilers, etc. And the Obama administration, it appears, has decided to delay it for 6 months because they're worried that the Republicans get mad.
Right.
So
they could take more hostages,
Yeah.
Then what do you do?
So the FRAC Act, it seems lovely, but even if you gave the EPA the power, apparently they wouldn't even use it.
Right.
Yeah.
And also in terms of fracking, my sister-in-law brought this up because I was Skyping with my brother who's a geologist, and whenever I said fracking, she would laugh because apparently in the new Battlestar Galactica, because it's on TV, instead of saying fuck, they say frack. And so fracking really is fucking the future.
And by the way, how did the Meet the Parents Part 8, you know, they just changed fuck to fuck. And so now, hey, little fuckers.
That's the plot of the movie.
No, I know, and they just advertise it all over the country. And then if we see half a nipple of Janet Jackson, the people got to pay, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars. But they're on billboards, little fuckers.
Right.
It's a crazy country, man. We're just trying to make it a little bit more sane. All right, check out Rethink, reviews everywhere, Huffington Post, YouTube, etc. John, as always, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, post game coming up with Ben Mankiewicz, some crazy stories. All right, come right back.
I got the Mac, nigga, tell me what you gonna do.